Hello everyone, my name is Masterstarman, and welcome back for more Let's Play Kirby's Adventure, Kirby's Dream Collection here. Yeah, as the message displayed there, once you beat the game 100%, you unlock Extra Mode, which is basically playing the exact same game again, just you have half your life, and this is going to be the last time I do this because, by God, this video took a long time to put together here. Or at least a long time to record this one. I don't know, this one may be, like, kind of a sign of laziness, but I had a lot of stuff going on this last month or so. I had a really big trip in May, and then the Switch 2 came out, and recording this in the middle of June here, so yeah, there's been a lot of stuff that's happened here. Now, why am I deciding to show this extra mode off here? Because it's probably not something most people would show off in Kirby's Adventure. And simply put, I mentioned this a few times, but I used to, not seriously, but just kind of for fun, I used to speedrun a little bit of this game, and I kind of wanted to demonstrate a little bit of how that was. So, there's a secret UFO in the first level. I've kind of demonstrated that before. There's a glitch in most versions of this game, I believe. The only one I'm not sure about that, actually, correction, I know is not in would be the 3DS version of the game, which is really great, by the way. It's unfortunate you can't buy that version anymore, because it's maybe the best version of this game, but you also can't do this glitch here, so what happens there, as you see, I'm now using UFO in a bunch of levels that I'm not supposed to be able to use. So, if you press select, you will disband the star, and for a frame, I believe, maybe slightly more lenient, but like very, very brief time, there's a window where you'll still have UFO, but it'll say you're normal Kirby, and you can view that on the pause screen, basically, and if you exit the level on that frame, you basically trick the game into thinking you're UFO, so you can play through the game so much faster this way. It is definitely what you want to do in order to speedrun this game, because you can just fly over a lot of stuff, the lag's not really so much of an issue, and your weapon of choice is absurdly powerful. This ability absolutely wrecks almost anything in the game. So, that's what we're going to be doing today. We're just going to kind of show off some stuff with UFO here, and I'm not going to show every level, obviously. This took me, I could probably double check how long this took me here. You can see how easy Wispy is here. If you want more of kind of how long this would take me, or want to see me do a different run, I actually did a speed run for this for the Stack Game Marathon a few years ago. This is in either 2.2 or 2.3, I want to point out there. You actually can't take UFO beyond that, so I just wanted to point that out there. There's going to be a bit of this world where I don't use that, but in addition, though, I did actually get quite an interesting glitch to happen here, too. I think I mentioned this before, but I was surprised this actually worked here. I thought that I was standing in the wrong spot. But if you finish off Paint Roller and pick up the Star Rod after that, I thought I was in the wrong spot, maybe I wasn't, but you can actually kind of glitch this out here and get unlimited use of mic. Sorry about the audio here in a little bit, because you're going to be hearing that all this level here, but it's a pretty funny glitch. It's probably not the most helpful thing in the world, because if you get hit, you lose the ability, but it can be really funny to mess around and play the game like this, so yeah, I kind of just try and hold on to this as long as I can here. I think I end up holding on to this for the next, like, couple of levels here, and it's just funny to see random, like, bugged out graphics and other weirdness kind of happen with this. So, yeah, I did a speedrun of this game, though, for the Stack Game Marathon. I believe it was in the fall of 2021. I'll provide a link for that here in a little bit in the corner here. And, yeah, that I was also just basically using the UFO the entire time as well, so if you want to see me play the entire game like that, then yeah, I'll link you to that there. So, a lot of this footage also was not recorded with any commentary. I'm doing this all in post here for obvious reasons. But, yeah. Here's just me spamming some Mike against Bugsy here, whom I have a few more beefs to pick with later in the video. And yeah, so this is kind of the trick you want to do. In 3-2 here, if you eat 2 of these Rockies, you can actually get UFO right here. So, and there's a pretty easy spot here to try and dismantle the star there. So, I didn't realize, though, that the very next level has a ladder that, yeah, that was a mistake there, and I had to go back and get UFO again. So, I'm pretty much only showing bosses or anything that's, like, actually noteworthy to kind of show off with this, though, because the rest of the game's pretty vanilla, other than you can fly through it really, really fast and defeat most bosses and whatnot. Or any other, like, secrets or split paths or rooms that I just didn't get a chance to show off in the earlier game there. So, I don't know, I don't really know why I showed that, but that was just a quick and easy fight there. Same for Rolling Turtle, you can see how fast you can just defeat most stuff in this game. World 4 is otherwise pretty vanilla, if I remember right, and I think World 5's even, like, less vanilla, or even more vanilla than this. So, yeah, because I remember during the speedrun, like, once you got to, like, 3-3, there was pretty much 2 worlds of just kind of vanilla gameplay, other than the fact you're just a unstoppable killing machine at this point. But this is definitely, like, the only other time I ever played through Extra Mode, I definitely did this also. Yeah, 5-2 here, you need to dismantle UFO for that. It can't go down the ladders like that, which is unfortunate. So, yeah, I just figured I'd mention that, but it's not too bad in most levels. There is a level in World 5, I think it's 5-4, whatever level has the Meta Knight fight here. This one is tricky because you can't just crouch below the floor here, so you kind of have to make sure all the ground threats are taken care of right away. But it's not that bad, though, because the beam attack can still hit enemies from the top anyway. Like, you can kind of, like, mostly pass through this middle platform without actually going up to it, so I think once you get rid of some of those, like, enemies there, you're pretty much good there. So, like, right here, I could still go to the bottom part of that anyway, even though I'm, like, it looks like I should be through the floor yet, but I'm technically not. But, yeah, I think it is just the first couple of enemies on the bottom there that you want to get rid of. And I show how much easier this secret is here as well. A lot of secrets are made a lot easier with UFO, including this one, the infamous 6-5 one. I think the secret in the next level also can be done with UFO, which is, yeah, this one here doesn't look like you can do it, but the star kind of angles downward in water, which is really weird, and because of that, you can still get this. It's really bizarre that you can still get this secret, but it is very nice. And it is very nice to go after these secrets when you're in extra mode, because, like, with only having, like, half your life bar, it is nice to get help at any chance you can. So, or 1-ups or whatever, really, but extra mode is obviously quite a bit harder with only half your life bar. It definitely can pick up quite a bit there in the difficulty department there. Can I stop saying there, over there, everywhere? Yeah, here's the infamous one here. Just light that there, and even with taking a hit, if I was in the normal game, I probably would not have been able to get that, because probably taking a hit there would have been too time-consuming there. Yeah, and that's, like, the most infamous secret there. Meta Knight, unfortunately, this fight took me a number of tries. This was really wild to me, though, in a way. You'll see what I mean. You can't use UFO for this, although, even if you lose in this fight, you still keep the UFO in the hub area, which is really nice, and also probably why this is not that hard, even with half your life, doing the UFO run. I just beat Meta Knight without taking any damage at all. I don't think I've ever done that before. Oh yeah, and this is just me going through the hard boss rush mode here, so you can see just how broken this ability is for all intents and purposes here. But yeah. Bugsy stood no chance, I think. Yeah, we have one Fire Lion here. Maybe a Fast Boy, but he doesn't stand a chance. Yeah, it's just a really easy thing you can just speedrun through here. And this secret here, I do not know how you're supposed to get this without UFO, because I only barely made that. And I'm using this ability kind of as a glitch here, so if there's a legit way to get that, I'd like to see it, but I don't know what or how is even legit to do that. So, yeah, now I just have the DDD and Knightmare fights here. DDD is not that bad. I mean, he's really easy with this ability just because of how powerful it is. Like, damn, that does a lot of damage there. As far as how long this took me, I want to say... just looking here... I'm gonna guesstimate about... a little under an hour and a half, like, a little over... it was somewhere between it, like... I'm gonna guess about an hour and 27 minutes or something like that. That's a rough guess there, but that's obviously way shorter than what the main story took me, so... definitely a lot faster to use UFO for all intents and purposes there. I feel like my speedrun that I did a couple years ago was even faster than that. I think it was sub 120, I want to say. So... yeah, by all accounts, though... there are a couple of things you can get for clearing the extra mode, though, which is kind of what I wanted to show off here. I believe you get the sound test for clearing I keep wanting to call it expert mode, because it basically is expert, but, like, yeah, I believe you get the sound test for clearing extra mode, and I think that's about it, really. And I just want to mention this, too. This is going to be this is the only game in the series that I'm doing, like, the Dream Collection series that I'm doing this much extra stuff for. I've already done a Let's Play of Kirby Super Star Ultra, and I don't feel the need of really doing the extra stuff on that again, so... by all accounts, this is pretty much gonna be the game I've definitely spent the most time on, but yeah. Knightmare on extras. The bosses are no different, you just have less health, but this is probably maybe the easiest final boss in the series here, maybe. I'm trying to think, yeah, I'd say this is easier than some of the other ones, honestly, even though I've had a lot of experience with Superstar and 64 as well. But yeah, so when you beat the game again, the credits and everything are pretty much the same, but there's just a couple of small little differences you get here. It says perfect on your 100% screen there, and if you go into it there, why am I spending so... okay, there we go. Yeah, you get the listen to sounds option here, so... probably not something most people have seen in this game, because I'm sure most people have not done extra mode in this. I think the only time I ever did extra mode, I think, was on the NES Classic when that came out, I think. I was playing this over a Christmas break one time, like the year that came out, so I was just playing this a lot to kind of pass the time. But yeah, it's a good way to just kind of mess around with some stuff there. And the only other mode of note here that I think I get into here is that I do show off the versus boss minigame. This is the boss endurance. I don't bother with this too much. I get as far as heavy mole here, but you don't get abilities in this mode outside of bosses that can give them. So I don't really see the point in this. And really, until Superstar, and for a long time even after Superstar, I really didn't bother with the boss endurances in these games. Yeah, this is as far as I got, but I got high jump against Krakow, but otherwise, you know, if you can get this far, you can get Hammer for the fight, which is nice, but I don't think you can use that against Meta Knights, so oh well. And now for a surprise. Yeah, we're gonna be talking about the GBA remake of this game, Kirby Knightmare in Dreamland. This right here was my very first Kirby game, so naturally this one does have a lot of nostalgia for me, but strangely, I hadn't played this in a long time, if you could believe it. I have a file that's 100% from way back in the day, and a big difference with this game that I'll just mention, well, first of all, I show off the 3 new bonus minigames here. Bomb Rally, I kind of showed this not long ago, actually, because this is also in Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe, which I also did a Let's Play of a few years ago. It feels weird saying a few years ago now, but yeah, that was at least 2 years ago now. The extra mode in this game is counted, like, on the normal file select screen, and you can save in that, so yeah, that mode, it's the exact same as this pretty much in the sense that it's just the main game with only 3 HP, but yeah. And I think I actually lose this here too. I will say this, like, I don't know if, like, I'm playing this on the Game Boy player here. I just have it kind of zoomed in here so you don't see the HUD there, but I was playing this on the Game Boy player. I don't know if it was because of that or not. Like, I felt like I noticed a little bit of weird input lag with that when I actually started the main attraction of this. But, yeah, it's... I don't know if I can just chalk that up to the Game Boy player or not, because I've heard people describe having issues on the Game Boy player. I know when I first played, I'm pretty sure when I first played the extra mode in this game, I also played on the Game Boy player and I never noticed that, but I was probably also just more used to how this game played back then. I also didn't say a word about Rail Grind. I don't mind Rail Grind as a minigame, or Air Grind, I guess, rather. That mode's fine, and I also just show off Samurai Kirby, or Kirby Quick Draw. It's literally just Samurai Kirby, though. Almost the aesthetic, like, down to the aesthetic, too. I like Air Grind, though, as a minigame. It's a pretty fun one where you just hold down the A button and release it in time there. I did do, even though I'm only on level 1, I did do decent at this minigame here. I don't know if I ever cleared this on the harder difficulties. I didn't really, if I did, I honestly don't remember. But as far as I know, it doesn't count for anything, it's just a sub-minigame. Meta Knight's always the hardest foe in all these games here, so... yeah. But that's peas and carrots compared to the main attraction of this here. We're talking Meta Knightmare. Save Dreamland as Meta Knight. Meta Knight is set out to practice his swordplay. Use his blade to clear the way. You can't save. That was my time from when I played this as a kid back in like 2005 or 6, whenever the heck that was. An hour 49. That time is honestly fairly generous even for this mode here. Yeah, this mode basically just lets you play the whole game as Meta Knight, and it was really, really quick and apparent. This moveset is weird. This is such a weird amalgamation for him. That was literally me dying to an enemy in the second screen of the game there. First of all, he has only 3 HP, which is really dumb here. He has his wings, which you'd think would be nice because it does let him fly, but I don't believe the wings actually do damage to anything, which is annoying because that's something I'm used to in any other game he's in. And unlike Sword, which even in Adventure had like a neutral spinning attack in the air, Meta Knight does not get that at all. He has an up thrust and a down thrust, which are pretty cool, but he otherwise just feels bizarre. I can't really describe it properly there. He just feels really weird in some ways. Not bad necessarily, he is fast, but he kind of also lunges a little bit when he uses his weapon. By the way, if the HAL room's in this game, I don't know if it's still here, how it's activated, or even if it's in Meta Knightmare or not. You may also notice the timer here. This mode is literally a time attack of the whole game. Doesn't account for your percentage, so it's really like the extra mode in the original game. Meta Knight is super, super powerful. As you see, I can decimate most mini-bosses very, very easily. So that part is really good. And being on newer hardware, you can also just tell how much smoother the game runs here. I will give it that. Like with what I was doing with the extra mode in Adventure, this is just going to be a quick little summation of highlights and just some other little differences within the GBA version, because there are quite a few differences here and there. Nothing too dramatic, but a couple of room layout changes and whatnot. Bosses are pretty easy with Meta Knight, all things considered. This pig enemy here, I don't know if it was supposed to be the same thing or not, but it definitely is different than the original sprite anyways. Little differences like that, but still functions similarly to the old one. This room here I think is interesting because it is actually a little bit different than the original, and I kind of only noticed it by accident because if you keep flying up here, you'll notice there's kind of just this big area here. I think we were kind of meant to drive up this with wheel a little bit more, but yeah, it's a little different than how the original was. Kind of forgot about that room there. I don't think I showed this room off at any point here. There is a UFO here, and I think this is 2-3 here. And this room here with the laser is a little bit different as well. A little bit bigger and has a lot more health, and also just has the one-up at like the very end of this room here, which is different. Otherwise, Ice Cream Islands is not too bad there. Paint Roller, not too bad, but you can kind of start to see a little bit when Meta Knight swings he kind of lunges forward. You also don't get to play the goal game with Meta Knightmare, so one-ups are way more scarce in this game. Although, thankfully, in this mode rather, but thankfully, even if you game over, you can still resume there just as long as you don't, like, turn the game off or anything. This room here at the beginning of, this is 3-2, this room's different than how it was in the original. And a lot of these, like, spinning 8-bit scrolling tower rooms are a lot different. Bugsy, god, the sprite is big chungus. This freaking unit of a mini-boss here now. I hated fighting this guy as a kid. I just thought his sprite was just massive. He's a lot more menacing, I think, than the original, and I think he's a more aggressive mini-boss, too, but yeah. This room's also new to the game. In the original, the level just ended after the fight, but this was kind of, I guess, just meant to be a room showing the backdrop ability off, so yeah, I figured I'd just kind of show this room off here. Nothing too much to it, but it is a thing. This is just in 3-3 here, different scrolling room there. In 3-5, I just figured I'd note that the invincibility cannon does not damage or insta-kill bosses in this game. Figured I'd just kind of mention that, but not that you have too many other instances to really do that. That right there was an instance of, like, I tried to jump and grab the ladder and the game just ate my input. I don't know if that was, like, intentional or not, or just a thing of the Game Boy player, or this version being weird, but yeah, that was really weird, I thought. 3-6 actually has a lot of differences here. Not so much related to the secret here, but with a couple other things, like the beginning of it was different, and the dark room is also different as well. I have a little bit of color correction applied, so, like, you can see the screen a little bit better, but normally, you may be able to notice here there's this invisible path here. Normally, you can't see that at all on a GBA screen or even the Game Boy player. These platforms are normally really, really, really dark. I just have some color filters applied to it to make it a little bit nicer and easier to see. But yeah, I noticed with this mode, and again, I don't know if this is just the Game Boy player, but there was just some weirdness with, like, dashing into enemies and inputs and other weird stuff. This is something I just figured I'd mention with the GBA version as well once we get into World 4 here. First of all, this secret here is a lot easier to notice in this version because that red speck there is easier. I kind of always suspected there was something there as a kid. Enemies also have different color palettes in this game, and also just a small minor thing, the cannon wicks respawn on screen in this version as well, but yeah, eventually enemies just start getting different color palettes as well. Very minor thing, but it is something I noticed. I don't think there was any stat differences whatsoever either, but maybe some cases maybe, but yeah. This room in 4-4 is just a little bit different. I realize I'm rapid-firing the list of changes here. We got Fan here. I'd like to see this elephant brought back. Hopefully maybe in Air Riders, possibly? Who knows? We'll see, but yeah, I figured I'd mention Fan there. 4-5 starts differently. This room is quite a lot more vertically. It's just different than how the original was here. I think most of the items are still kind of the same, but it is definitely changed from the original, let's say, and I think... I don't know if it's this level or... Yeah, it would be this level, but I think the ending of this level's changed up quite a bit as well. So... yeah, this world definitely saw some of the most changes here. Yeah, towards the end, this room used to be kind of the straight horizontal room of dodging Gordos, and now it's a little bit more maze-like, not quite, but it's different enough here. I think there's a 1-up up top there, yeah, but it's nothing too dramatic here. Here's just the fight with Krakow, which I think is largely the same, except Krakow is a little bit bigger. I want to say, I could be wrong, these sprites are very similar to his design in Super Star. Though I've always liked this, like, the pink and blue, like, gradient on this guy. I can't really describe it, but it's something I always really liked as a kid, and I kind of wouldn't mind if they brought this, like, design back for him at some point. I don't know if they will or not. I feel like Krakow's a lot more... oh, this is just hilarious. I wasn't prepared for that at all, but yeah. This secret's a lot easier to get here, but yeah. I like this old Krakow design. I wouldn't mind seeing that come back someday. Like I said, this secret's way easier with Meta Knight, but also just easier in this game in general because the Wick can respawn. Fire Lion, way more menacing looking as well, way bigger. I don't think he's as hard as Bugsy, but, like, he can still be a bit tricky to deal with there. And yeah, this secret in 6-6, or 5-6, I mean, rather, Meta Knight can get... Yogurt Yard's pretty vanilla, all things considered. They really didn't change too much for this world. It was pretty much, I think, World 4 and World 7, I think, that got the most changes. Maybe a couple in World 6, but nah, I'd say World 6 is actually pretty vanilla. I just included some stuff in here anyway, just to kind of demonstrate. This was, I think, just my first game over here, or my only game over in this, but the only thing you lose is time, so not bad otherwise. Meta Knight can also get these secrets, which is very nice. He can, like, I don't think I mentioned it, his sword has the elements of, like, being able to break blocks, stumps, and light fuses and whatnot, so he's really good. This in 6-3 here, you can see also, like, they changed that to being a gray block, which also, again, playing this first as a kid as opposed to adventure, like, it was a lot easier to find some of these secrets as a kid because of that. Like, I'm like, oh, that's a gray block that gets broken by hammer or burning or whatever, and you fight bonkers right there, too, so... just, all around, I'd say this is an easier game to figure out in a lot of ways. Surprised that Meta Knight's sword could actually breach this wick from the above there, but that's how you get that secret. 6-4, again, I noticed this as a kid as well. This secret's a lot easier to notice. And 6-5, again, like, I don't think this is as bad in this version, even just with Kirby, but yeah, this secret's way easier with Meta Knight also, just because he flies a lot faster. And yeah, there's not really much else to say about Meta Knightmare. There's a couple other secret changes here, but mostly in kind of the last world. These Meta Knights here can be a little tricky, because some of them do take more than one hit to defeat, and those are like the worst to deal with there. Especially the guys with the maces, those guys can be really obnoxious, but I don't know, Meta Knight's moveset in this game is really weird. Like, I wish, you know, he almost has too much momentum, and I felt like I was definitely noticing that a lot at times. He was almost kind of heavy in midair in some ways. Fighting against Meta Knight's not only funny, but also this fight's really easy, I've noticed. Like, even with only having a little bit of health, like, Meta Knight's sword is... it's strong, but man, dude, bro just went down really, really easily there. Another secret that's... I don't even know really why I'm showing all these secrets here. I didn't even 100% this mode. I got most of the secrets, but, like... yeah, I think, yeah, this is just the bottom path of the tower. I never actually showed this before. There's more fights you have to do than the top path. The top path, I think the enemies are more aggressive, which is why I didn't want to do it in this mode. If I had UFO or something, I wouldn't mind doing the top path, or more health, but with how weird Meta Knight's physics are in this, like, yeah. You see how much I'm inching closer together there, and that did screw me up in a few fights earlier. Like, something like that there, basically. I knew I was gonna take a hit at some point eventually. But yeah, you can also start to see some palette swaps, although the mini-bosses in this level had palette swaps in the original as well, so... it is nice just having a sword that does a lot, and I mean a lot of damage, though. I almost find myself trying to do aerial attacks more, too, but... and Fire Lion, I think, goes down pretty easily here as well, I believe. Actually, I died to him there anyway. Yeah, I died a lot in this mode, though. Meta Knight just... I wouldn't say it's bad, and again, I don't know if it's just a case of playing on the Game Boy player or not, but this mode is just really weird. A little bit. This room's different. This is 7-3. There's actually a few changes in this level, if I remember right. This room is definitely different than how it was in the original game, though. Not really so much even in a bad way, but yeah, it's just different, you know? And this room here, this is the end of 7-4. This is the room I was talking about where, like, I definitively noticed this difference from the original game when I played Adventure for the first time, because this room is not in Adventure at all. This is a brand new room that they added to Knightmare, they added to Knightmare and Dreamland. So... yeah, it's... I think this room's kind of clever. It's, I mean, maybe a little basic, but it just kind of circles around, and... yeah, not really too much else to say beyond that. You see the gold ore up at the top there, and... you just gotta dodge some Gordos here. And break this, and ride this all the way up here, and there's your goal there. Not many other changes. Like, at this point, we're pretty much at the end as far as the changes go, but this secret I always am nostalgic for, though, because this, obviously, is the last secret of the game. That to me was, like, the one that I had to look up as a kid, because I was never gonna find that. I played that level a lot, and I mean a lot of times to try and find that. But yeah, Dedede is actually the last boss of Meta Knightmare. He does not get to fight Knightmare for some reason, I'm not really sure why. Could be kind of a difficult fight. Again, you don't get much health for this fight. I'm not sure how I lived that there. I'm shocked that I didn't take damage even when sliding there. That was my time. As you see, it was like 40 minutes faster than my original time. And yeah, that was it for Meta Knightmare. But yeah, this was my very first Kirby game here. I just felt like kind of showing off the ending of this one more time here because of reasons. This is how much, like, devastating how Ball Kirby works in this fight. People joke on Ball Kirby. To me, it's like the ultimate Dedede defeater. It is such a good ability for this fight. Like, he just can't touch you at all, and it does so much damage to him there. But, yeah, no, Knightmare Dreamland's still a really good time. I'm probably gonna date this here at some point. I really hope this comes to the Nintendo Switch Online at some point in the near future. I would love to play this game in multiplayer, because this has 4-player co-op, but unlike with Amazing Mirror, I never actually knew any friends who had this game, so I have one friend who had it, and I think we tried multiplayer for, like, the first world of this game, but, like, and that was my last time playing this. That would have been, like, almost 10 years ago, I think, when I tried that, but yeah, I would love to play this game in multiplayer sometime, so I'm sure this will come to the Switch Online at some point. It's a first-party Nintendo title. Once again, if you take too long in that fight, then you can get crushed there, so you are on a time limit for that, but I'm sure this will come to the Switch Online at some point in the near future. Like, maybe not near, but, like, at some point. I'm sure this is going to. But yeah, this game definitely is very nostalgic for me. It's, in spite of that, I don't know if I'd say Knightmare and Dreamland is one of my favorite Kirby games. It looks really good, but there's almost things I like better about Adventure. I think I like the feel of Adventure a little bit more, even if there's a lot of lag to the NES version of it. You know, I really like I still really love the level design and just the general gameplay of this game a lot. And Knightmare and Dreamland's solid. It definitely has, you know, it's way better looking, and honestly better looking than I remember it being, but yeah, it's, like, it just feels weird to me. Like, even compared to, like, the next game that followed this, which was Kirby and the Amazing Mirror, like, not counting Air Ride, I guess, but, like, the next Kirby platformer that followed this, I think, honestly feels better in a way, but I can't really describe it, because they are on the same engine, but I almost feel like it's, I can't really describe it in essence, but my point is, though, this game is definitely one that I have a lot of nostalgia and fondness for anyway. You know, I have memories of being at my grandmother's place trying to beat this boss. Like, I sucked fighting this boss when I first played it. I thought I had to wait until very specific attacks like that one he just did there. I didn't think I could actually attack him during moments like that there, basically, so I remember trying to beat this guy for the longest time and not really sure how to defeat him after a while, but I was very young at the time. I can beat this boss practically in my sleep now, as this kind of proved here. But yeah, that's it for Knightmare. Like I said, going forward in Dream Collection, I'm not showing if any of these other games, Superstar, have a remake or anything like that. I'm only sticking to the original versions for those games. It's just, there's enough to this game that I think warrants showing off. That, and I already Let's Played Superstar Ultra, so I have no real reason to show that off again, but maybe I'll mention it. But yeah, this game is still really, really, really good, though. I can definitely recommend this and Adventure, and I really love these games a lot. They're some of my favorite Kirby platformers for a reason. And yeah, if you haven't played them, at least, like, Adventure's accessible. That's on Switch Online, and I think it's very much worth checking out. And If you can't get into that, then I'm sure this will be on the Switch Online very soon anyway, so definitely would recommend this one. Definitely would very much recommend this one. I've said it before, and I think I'll say it again. This is perhaps my favorite of the platformers in all of the Dream Collection. It's very close. I love Superstar and 64 a lot as well, but for me, I think part of that is nostalgia for sure, but, you know, there's just a lot about this game I really, really love. And yeah, that's... not too much else that I have to say about that. Also, for some reason, this end screen gets reused a lot, I've noticed. Another big thing I noticed about this game that I didn't really get a good chance to talk about is that, the Kirby hats were added to this version as well. So, that was the thing that was introduced in Superstar, but you get to see a lot of, like, the designs for some of these abilities that we don't really see that often. Like, this needle design was from the anime series, where he turns yellow. Thought that was really cool. Get to see Wheel with that backwards hat there and everything. Get to see Wheel again for some reason. Oh no, he's getting rid of Wheel here. Like, there's a lot of cool hats and things like that in this game, and some designs you don't really get to see that often outside of, honestly, outside of this game. Like, you know, like, as far as, like, I think this was the only game to have the needle hat for pretty much up until, I guess, until it got a redesign in Return to Dreamland. So, it's just nice to see, you know, some things kind of, you don't really see a lot of things outside of this game in a way. You know, we obviously have the iconic sword Kirby hat. Wouldn't be a Meta Knight duel without that. And, yeah, freaking backdrop Kirby just wishing it was Fighter Kirby even though it's not. I don't think I've ever tried using backdrop for this fight, but that's definitely a choice there. And that's gonna be it for this. Next time, we will return to our regularly scheduled programming with Kirby's Dream Land 2. Have yourselves a great day, and peace out.